September is college savings month. And so today I want to talk to you about different ways that you can save for college. Let's do a smackdown between a 529 plan and a Roth IRA. And there's going to be pros and cons to going with those two different types of accounts to save for college. First, I'm going to define each type of account. A 529 is an educational savings account. You can put in after-tax dollars, post-tax dollars into a 529 account for a beneficiary for your child or grandchild, and then you can have that money grow in that account tax-free. You can invest it, have it grow tax-free, and when you use that money for qualified education expenses, it is all tax-free. So after-tax dollars, then it grows tax-free, and use it for qualified education expenses tax-free. Now, a Roth IRA, on the other hand, is typically a retirement type of account, but the tax consequences are pretty much the same in terms of it's after-tax dollars into your Roth account, they grow tax-free, and they get to take it out tax-free. All right, so similar on the tax consequences, and that's why we're going to compare these two for education, college savings. On the 529, that's what they're set up for, is for college expenses. You can also use it for kindergarten through 12 expenses, $10,000 a year that you could take out for those expenses. And then for college expenses, there is no limit per year how much you can take out to spend on college expenses. Now, in terms of contributions on the 529, you can put in a lot of money into a 529 each year. There are limits per year, which are way higher than a Roth IRA limits. And you can also pre-fund 5 years worth all at once. So say, this is really useful when a child is first born or a very young child, and you want to just get a lot of money in there right away and have it start growing tax-free. You can put 5 years worth. So that's, many tens of thousands of dollars straight away into an account. So you can really pre-fund it and get a lot of growth. So that's an advantage of the 529. There's also state tax advantages on a 529. When you put in money, you can often get a state tax deduction on that money, depending on what state you're in, if you go with the in-state plan. So there's another little incentive for the 529. You get a little tax incentive depending on what state you're in. And lastly, in terms of withdrawals, you can withdraw the 529 money for qualified educational expenses at any time. It doesn't matter your age or when you contribute or anything like that. Qualified expenses, tax-free withdrawal. Now let's talk about the Roth IRA, some of the details there, and then finally I'll do a comparison between the two. On the Roth IRA, there are limits. There's limits to how much you can put in each year. This year is $6,000. And there's limits to if you can put in at all based on your income. So only certain qualifying income limits can you have a Roth IRA. So there's many more limits around contributions. On the withdrawal side, okay, there's also definitely limits. It's mainly for retirement, but you can use it for educational expenses. You can withdraw your contributions at any time for any reason. All right, I'll say that again. In the Roth IRA, any contributions you make, you can withdraw at any time for any reason without any tax consequences or penalties. It's your money. If you withdraw earnings, however, the same thing is not true. So if you withdraw money that has grown, then if you do that before you're 59 and a half and you've had it for less than 5 years, you have to be over 59 and a half, have the account for more than 5 years, you can withdraw that money for anything. But if you're going to withdraw for education expenses before you're 59 and a half, you can do that without the penalty. But if you're withdrawing earnings, you're going to pay income taxes. So if the account has grown by twice as much, you're not 59 and a half yet, and you want to withdraw all that money for education, half of that money will be taxed at ordinary incomes, but you will not have to pay a penalty because you're using it for education expenses. So there is access to that money for education expenses, but you still might have to pay income taxes on that. All right, let's talk about some differences between the two accounts. Let's first talk about the investment options. Okay, in both accounts, you can invest the money into stocks and bonds and mutual funds. The 529 plans will only have an assortment, much smaller set of assortments for what you can invest in. It's geared towards college savings, and they'll be often there's age-based, often they use index funds, just so large asset classes, stocks, U.S. bonds, maybe some international, et cetera, et cetera. But on the Roth, you really have, sort of unlimited investment options for what you're going to put those Roth assets into. You can buy individual stocks or, things like that. So you have many more options on the Roth. That being said, in my opinion, I'm an index fund guy. I think the 529 options are great. They're fine. They keep you nicely invested in a broad asset class that's going to give you good growth for college funding. So I don't see a big difference there, but it is true. The Roth IRA gets you lots more investable options. All right, a big point of this is financial aid. We can get hung up on, okay, if I put some money away for college, how's it going to impact my financial aid? All right, the 529 plans, it gets complicated, but the 529 plans, if it's owned by a parent, is a parental asset, okay? Whereas the Roth does not count. It is an investment, a retirement account, and will not be counted. So if you have that money sitting there as a parent in the 529, it's going to be counted against your financial aid. But it's only counted at a maximum about 5.5%. So if you have $100,000 in there, we're talking about $5,000. Okay, it's not in parental assets sort of add up over time. It's counted as one of those parental assets, just like your brokerage or checking account. It's going to be counted like that. And a maximum, it's a complicated formula, but that's sort of the max. Now, an interesting point, if you have the 529 as a grandparent, okay, it's not counted on the FAFSA. That sounds great, but when you go to use that money, the opposite is true. When the grandparent spends that money for the qualified education expense, it's going to show up as student income, and that massively affects your financial aid. So there's a lot of details here, but basically the 529 will impact your financial aid by up to that sort of 5.5%. Whereas the Roth IRA will not, because it is a retirement account. All right, so which is better for you? This is a complicated question, as we've just gone over. There's lots of pros and cons for college savings for both a 529 or a Roth IRA. If you know that your kid is going to college and you're going to have college expenses and you want to cover those, the 529 is a great option, but only after you're looking after yourself as well. No one's going to fund your retirement. So make sure you're putting some money into your retirement. If you are putting some money into your retirement and you want to open a 529, I think that's fine. If you're debating between the two, the Roth is a great in-between way of getting started because it's saving for retirement, but you can pull that money out for education expenses as well. So it can be a great option there. I'm a fan of having multiple accounts and spreading some money across because it gives multiple tools in the toolbox for use down the road when we're not sure how exactly we're going to be using money, where we're going to need it. Having multiple tools is always useful. So that's it. Smack down between the 529 and the Roth IRA for college savings here in September in College Savings Month. Have a great rest of your day and rest of your week.